Hello my friends, we are back and we are playing Final Fantasy. This isn't new Final Fantasy, this isn't Final Fantasy 15, it's not even Final Fantasy 13, this is Final Fantasy 1 on the NES. And I've barely ever played this game. I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan, but these original NES games I've kind of barely touched. So I thought it would be fun to dive into one, and I've played a little bit, but I mean I've probably done like the intro in inverted commas, with just quick setup of what I've done. The princess was kidnapped. That's obvious. That happens in every video game ever created. And my little party of 4 adventurers went and saved the princess, brought her back to the king. The king thanked us, and he rebuilt a bridge so that we can travel to the rest of the continent. So I'm about to go and try out that bridge for the first time, and that is the setup for the game. So, oh, there's the bridge, look. And late title card. This is... Oh, brilliant. So the journey begins. I love a late title card. You know, you've been playing a game for like 30 minutes, an hour, and all of a sudden, bam, there's the title of the game. What waits the 4? They do not know. Each holding an orb that 2,000 years ago shined with beauty from within, but now only darkness. Come start your journey, return the light of peace to our world. Program, but yeah, so this is, as we can see at the bottom, 1990. I had this incredible idea that I've been enjoying doing all of the Street Fighter videos so much that I thought, what other series do I love? What other series have got lots of games in them that I can just wax lyrical about for ages? And Final Fantasy is, for me, the one that's next to Street Fighter in terms of a long running series with loads of games that I just love to talk about. And I love to play them all. But, I mean, obviously, Final Fantasy games, they're a bit trickier just to, like, jump in and, you know, capture 20 minutes of footage of. I could easily talk about every game and why they're different and what's new and what's exciting about them. But kind of the setup for creating a video is I would kind of have to play each one for like 10 or 20 hours to get a save slot that's not just at the start, because the start of every JRPG is 3 hours of just cutscenes and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. It's still something I would quite like to do, but I think I'm just going to play a bit of Final Fantasy and we'll see how it goes. So if you've ever played a Final Fantasy game before, and like me, not actually played much of the original ones, you'll still totally recognise this screen. It's the classic turn-based Final Fantasy stuff. So where Final Fantasy 1 and maybe 2 and 3, it's so long since I've played them, I can't say, but certainly where this game differs from the later games is that when you start the game, you choose a party of 4. That's the very first thing you do. You don't start with like a main character and then, you know, find other members of your party as you're going through. You choose 4 characters, and those 4 characters are just classes. So you've got a warrior, a fighter, a thief, a white mage, a black mage. They're the 4 that I chose. But then you've also got, oh god, I can't even remember now. A red mage, I think. And some other classes, basically. There's all these different classes that you can choose from, and you just create a party of 4. You can name them whatever you want. Then through the game, those classes can evolve. So the fighter can become a knight, the thief can become a ninja, the red mage can become a red wizard, and etc. etc. So that's quite different to most Final Fantasy games, in that they normally start with, you know, your Cloud at the start, and then you meet Barrett, and then you meet Tifa, and whatever. You kind of create your party throughout the story. This just starts with a team of 4. You're that team of 4 throughout. So, sorry, I'll just take a little break to work out exactly what I'm actually doing. Okay, so we've won the fight. Classic Final Fantasy battle win jingle. Okay, so I mean, obviously being the first Final Fantasy, this was all new to the team creating this. I read that the development of this game started with just 4 people, which I dread to think how many people are involved with making Final Fantasy games in 2017. But yeah, 4 people, and I think Dragon Quest had come out before Final Fantasy came out, and like the wikis tell me that Square kind of used the fact that Dragon Quest was such a success in Japan as a right, okay, we can make RPGs and people will buy them, because there wasn't many games like this on the NES. I think there were probably, RPGs at the time. They were tabletop games. It was Dungeons and Dragons. That's the template for these games, and certainly the developers of these original games have said in interviews that Dungeons and Dragons was their main inspiration. So for the fighting system and for the magic system, and that's something that Dragon Quest didn't do quite as much. But what Final Fantasy brought to the genre was a real, let's bring in all these tabletop things. It's how magic works in the game. Like the monster list is basically the monster manual from first edition Dungeons and Dragons. It's weirdly taken things from Western stuff. We generally consider Final Fantasy to be a very Japanese thing, and it's the template really for JRPGs. But I think in creating the first Final Fantasy game, they took a lot from these Western tabletop role-playing games, and that's quite evident when you know that going in. You do see the like the building blocks of those systems. So yeah, talking about monsters, though these are just wolves. It's not like, what's my magic here? Cure. I could probably do with using that on my black mage. I should have used my fire magic with him. Oh, he's killed him anyway. Terminated. So I'm not entirely sure where my party is heading. We've got to work that out. I'll say I did a little bit of setup and played probably 20 minutes to get to this point, and managed not to die. But I'm still definitely at that stage where the first like few hours of Final Fantasy games, you don't have many options in the battle systems. These turn-based battle systems, they really come into their own when you've got tons of magic and you've learned skills and you've got lots of weapons and armor, and you can really like craft your team around strategies and things, and you're executing on those strategies when you're in a fight. The first few hours is you queuing up attack or maybe magic if you've got it, and it's maybe not the most thrilling. But then these original NES games, they were much more simple than the later ones anyway. But I think you can really see the link. Like, the series obviously changed a lot, and each game introduced new things and all that. But they kept a lot as well. Like, oh, look at that creep. It's really creepish. Yeah, I mean, even this screen looks the same, more or less the same as it does in like Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 on the PlayStation. So it's not like they chucked everything away. No, you haven't got magic. You got the magic. Let's fire you. I haven't fought a creep yet, so I don't really know how dangerous this is. Oh god, 57 damage. That's just wiped out my black mage. Oh dear. My only items are gear that I've bought. I need a phoenix down. I might have to... Oh, is it even worth using a cure? Because if you can do that much damage in a hit... Oh, that's going to leave him with 2 health. This could go really badly, couldn't it? Alright, you need curing. We should be alright. Oh, that hasn't really cured him enough. I'm going to hit the cure again, although I'm guessing he might die before he even gets... Oh, phew, okay. Oh, so is that because I've walked into a swamp? Come on, we could do with levelling up here. Yeah, I'm in this swamp, look. Let's stay out of that. I could actually do with seeing if I can do anything about my dead party member. What's my loot do? Beautiful music fills the air. I've no idea what that does. I can't raise him from the dead. Okay. That's a little concerning. Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? Oh, God, can we run? Let's just try this. Is close call good? Yeah, okay, cool. I need to get to a town and go and see a priest. So, I mean, this... oh, he looks horrible, doesn't he? We're definitely running. Okay, it's not too bad. No, we can't run. Okay, so only one of them needs to successfully run. So interestingly, Final Fantasy 1, I'm lagging it again. Final Fantasy 1, this game came to America, never came to Europe. I think probably just Japan and the US, and then 2 and 3 on the NES. Oh, there's a town down there. 2 and 3 didn't even make it out of Japan. So this one did come to America, and I'm playing the American version here. But 2 and 3 didn't. You know, the versions of 2 and 3 that I've got are Japanese, because that's the only ones that exist. You can find fan translations, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe this didn't really meet its targets in America, but I certainly think by now it's met its targets, because it's been re-released on everything. Like, this has been released on so many consoles, and even on like mobile phones and stuff. You can get this in versions with, you know, fresh graphics and high-res graphics, and they've redone them, and like cutscenes. They released them on the PS1. I owned those when I was a teenager, and they got like FMV cutscenes in them and stuff. Help! That sounds bad, doesn't it? We need to find, before I try and help these dudes, we need to find the church. Because much like Dragon Quest, if your party members die, you go see a priest, and he raises them. That's an inn. I don't know if an inn brings them back to life. Where's your church? That's a potion shop. There's an armour shop. Oh, don't tell me you haven't got one. And maybe an inn does raise him. That looks like a pirate. And he looks like a bad guy. In fact, he's got like a Mohican. That's normally shorthand for bad dudes, isn't it? There's a magic shop. Maybe it's this heart place. Well, I thought they looked a bit more traditionally church-like than that, but I've only seen one of them so far. Let's go check out that heart place. Maybe it's just a hospital. Oh, there's a thug outside the door. Clinic. Oh yeah, okay, cool. That's fine. So you'll notice that I've just named my characters after the class. You do not need my help now, so that I could remember who's who. So I've got a bit of cash. Let's go check out the weapons. I think the one thing that, going back to Final Fantasy 1, the real thing it's missing compared to the later games is the story. I mean, like, the gameplay is, well, it is what it is, isn't it? It's quite a simple JRPG. It's a classic traditional JRPG, and certainly the later Final Fantasies. You know, when I was playing Final Fantasy 7 when it came out, and those of us that had N64s were playing Zelda Ocarina of Time kind of at the same time, and then looking at people playing Final Fantasy 7 and going, oh, that's, you know, the fighting is just you queuing up moves. You're not actually actively doing anything. What am I trying to say? Final Fantasy kept this very traditional tabletop style RPG, but the thing it brought to the table is like rich stories and deep characters and lots of reading and I think Final Fantasy 1 is obviously missing a lot of that story. It's a very simple game, and it's kind of about the gameplay. And I suppose at the time this was quite an original and quite an exciting thing. But I mean, certainly it seems limited when you look at it in retrospect. I'm looking at these weapons. I don't even know what I've got. I don't think I've got. Well, I can't afford that anyway. I think I've got a scimitar already. Can I just see what I can sell? I've got a rapier. Maybe I'll buy a scimitar. Okay, so yeah, that's loads better than anything I've got. Oh, I've left the shop by mistake. So, but if I buy that, I can't really buy anything else. Let's do it anyway. Let's give it to... do I give it to the fighter or the thief? I'm going to give it to the thief, because I think he's got something crap. And then I could sell his... Oh, it's only worth 10, isn't it? Okay, and then I need to equip this. When I first... in the first town, I bought loads of gear, and I bought loads of armour and weapons and stuff, and then I got into my first fight and realised that I hadn't equipped them. How do I get to my actual characters? Why is that not doing anything? I'm trying to find out how to equip... Oh, here we go. So yeah, we need to do this, which I'd totally forgotten to do. Okay, so I haven't really got any money left now, so I'm not gonna do shopping for the rest of the video. We're gonna find out why these villagers are saying help. I'm guessing because of these guys. Although, let's just pop to the inn first, eh? Oh, I can only just afford it. Don't forget, if you leave your game, hold reset while you turn the power off. This town has been invaded by pirates. I thought they were pirates. Okay. Anything I can do about it? This guy looks like he might be in charge. I am Bick the Pirate. I'm surprised I am that you scurvy dogs have the nerve to face me, mates. Get those landlubbers. Oh my god. Oh, that's a lot of pirates, isn't it? Okay, I always like to start with the people in the front row. If that's, you know, that's actually making any difference, but... Okay, we'll try out this new scimitar. Scimitar? Okay, and you can smash him. Okay, 1 damage. Alright, so we're not too worried about this. When you're looking at a game like Final Fantasy, you really... oh god, actually, he's doing quite a lot on the majors. You really notice the NES's like limited colour palette, or well, not the colour palette, but how many colours it can display at one time, can't you? When you look at that big grid of pirates. Yeah, that should sort you out. I don't think we're going to have too much trouble here. So I was kind of checking up on the wiki for this earlier to kind of swat up on what's going on, and it was weirdly saying that Final Fantasy II uses a completely unique method of leveling up. So Final Fantasy 1, much like pretty much every other Final Fantasy game, you gain experience points, XP, when you finish a fight. And when you reach certain milestones, you'll level up and, you know, get stronger. But apparently Final Fantasy II uses I can't remember what they called it, but a method where the more you use a character, the more they level up in certain skills. So if your characters are using magic, they become better at using magic. And it's kind of a bit like Elder Scrolls games and things like that. And they brought that back in Final Fantasy XI, which was the first MMO they made. But it's totally unique in that. Like, none of the other games do that. You know, they've all got the very traditional experience system, and I think that kind of makes sense. But maybe that's just because... Oh god, I'm missing a lot. Maybe that's just because every Final Fantasy game that I've really played uses that. I've kind of always been under the assumption that these NES games are nobody's favourite. Like, I think they're quite respected, and people like them, certainly. You know, they've repackaged them and resold them tons of times. But I don't feel like I hear people saying, oh, Final Fantasy 1 is my favourite game, or Final Fantasy 2 is my favourite. I mean, it's normally the SNES ones, like Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 5, or some of the later... Well, I think all of the others, somebody's got a favourite of. You know, a lot of people love Final Fantasy 7, a lot of people love 9, 10. Nobody really. I don't think anyone thinks Final Fantasy 13 is their favourite. But yeah, certainly I don't hear people saying that these are their favourites, and I'd be interested in hearing if somebody did. But I would say that I haven't really played enough of them. I've never finished one of these NES games. I've just never really felt the drive. You know, if these were the only Final Fantasy games that existed, I don't think I would have got into the series quite as much. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that with Final Fantasy 4, 5 and 6 on the SNES, they really ramped up in the scope of them. You know, I recently played through Final Fantasy 6 and I don't know what, 45, 50 hours? And it was just incredible from hour 1 to hour 50. It's just an incredible game. You know, people often say it's the best one, and I've certainly, growing up, felt like I've liked the PS1 one, so like Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy 8. But playing 6 again, it's just unbelievably good. But again, if I was going to do a video of that, I played it on my Vita, on like the PS1 Classics range. Maybe I don't know if you can get the save off of Vita to get it onto a PS3 to capture that. I'm not capturing from a Vita. And like the first 3 or 4 hours of that game are pretty slow. Like, it doesn't ramp up to the exciting stuff. Well, I guess it comes in sooner than most, with like when you fight in a train and stuff, and you power slam a train. Spoilers. But yeah, I do. If I beat the pirates now, okay, you got me. Take my ship. Cool. Just got a ship. Where is your ship? I can't afford to go back to the inn again to heal up, so we're just leaving this place. Yeah, so I do have this idea that I'd like to do a Final Fantasy series. If you think that sounds good, if you think that sounds interesting, let me know, because maybe it's not. Maybe that's just not something that anybody wants to see. But I would quite like to do it, because doing the Street Fighter series and playing through all the Street Fighter games in chronological order, I've learned a lot about them that I didn't know. You know, I certainly know all the characters and some of those gameplay features, but I've definitely learned, that feature, that mechanic came in on this game, and this game's got this mechanic that I never knew anything about, and I've personally found that really interesting, and so I've enjoyed learning about it myself, and I feel like I would learn the same kind of things from playing through the Final Fantasy games, but as I say, that is a much bigger undertaking. Oh, it's probably not a good idea to use fire against a shark, is it? That's not going to do anything. Arsahag. Oh my god. I don't really know who I should be prioritising hurting. We've run out of fire now. What's this other thing that I've got one of? Nothing. Okay, well, that's odd. So I can just whack, and my mage isn't doing much damage with its little wooden rod thing that it's got. Oh, we need to start doing a bit better than this. We're doing a lot of missing. 1 damage. Yeah, I could have done with it not being the black mage that was the only person to hit in that turn. There's a bit of irony with me and the Final Fantasy games, in that as I look to my left in my gaming room in my house, I've got some framed Famicom carts on my wall, and 3 of those are Japanese Final Fantasy 1, 2 and 3, and yeah, irony being that these are the Final Fantasy games that I haven't played really, and I've never finished any of them. So I appreciate that irony, but they're pretty cartridges, and they're a series that I love, so it felt alright. Okay, come on, we need to kill this shark and move on. I feel like how is this shark attacking me? We're on a ship. It's a bit daft. And if it's jumped aboard, why are we fighting it? Why don't we just leave it and it can just flop around and dry up? But you know, I wish my white mage wasn't dead, because I've got anything to drink. No, I could really do with some curing. My fighter's in a bad state, and I don't have any money to go to the inn. Oh, come on. He's dead. I think we might be in trouble here. There's only my thief and my black mage left, and I don't have any spells, and my fire will be no good against him anyway. Oh, I probably should have at least saved my game, shouldn't I? After beating the pirates. Well, when you visit the inn, it saves your game, so I at least saved them before the pirates, and that fight wasn't difficult, so at least now I can go back to that. This shark is absolutely solid. I know I've been missing it. Okay, so just got the black mage left, and he's going to be whacking him for at best 1 damage. So good luck, mate. Well, if you can keep dodging attacks like that, we might be alright. Oh, he did 9! Come on. 12! Okay. Right, that's the end of our run, I guess. Fight, party perished. This is probably quite obvious. You could only use 4 characters for the character's name. I didn't realise that when I was trying to name my fighter. But yeah, 4 characters didn't really work out. Respawn rate 1. Don't really know what that means. But anyway, that's Final Fantasy. It's interesting, it says 1987 Square. Maybe that's when it came out in Japan. Maybe then it took 3 years to get to America. That would make sense, probably. Games kind of did in those days. It took a while to translate and that. But anyway, that's Final Fantasy. I hope my ramblings, my Final Fantasy ramblings, have been slightly interesting. But yeah, maybe there's some Final Fantasy videos to come. Well, see if I can work out how to do that. But at the very least, we're going to be covering Final Fantasy 4, 5 and 6 in ranking the SNES at some point. Although they'll be called Final Fantasy 1, 2 and 3 in that, which they were in America. I'm not going to get into that. The naming is stupid. It's almost as stupid as the Street Fighter naming conventions. But yeah, we're going to be covering them in the ranking the SNES. But I would like to cover some of the others. But we'll see. It might just not be possible. But thank you for joining me for this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will hopefully see you next time in one of my future videos. So yeah, thanks very much. Bye.